Hey everyone, and welcome. We're about to jump into a question that sounds super simple on the surface, but is actually surprisingly complicated. When you buy a piece of property, what do you really own?
Really think about it. Does your ownership stretch all the way up into the sky where jets are flying? And does it go all the way down to the center of the earth? Well, it turns out to be this fascinating puzzle with some very, very real world consequences. So, to really get our heads around this, we're not just going to talk legal theory. Nope. We're going to follow the story of a farmer named Chet. He's facing this exact problem from, well, pretty much every direction. His case is going to be our guide. Right. So Chet's farm is basically under siege. His whole situation is the perfect way to understand this clash between old school property rights and all the demands of the modern world. So here's what Chet is dealing with, and it is a lot. First, his farm is right next to an airport, so you've got planes flying low over his head all the time. Second, the local government wants to run utility lines. We're talking drainage pipes, electrical cables, right underneath his land. And to top it all off, there's a construction site next door with these huge cranes, and their arms are constantly swinging through the air right above his property. So what can he possibly do about any of this? To figure out Chet's rights today, we've actually got to go back in time. We need to look at this incredibly powerful legal idea that, for centuries, was the law of the land. And let me tell you, it was simple, it was absolute, and it was kind of dramatic. This ancient maxim was basically the foundation of all property law. What it's saying is that your land isn't just a two-dimensional plot on a map. No, it's a three-dimensional column of space that goes on forever, up and down. If that rule were still the case today, Chet's problems would be solved in a heartbeat. Now, this whole idea has a fancy name, the ad colum doctrine. It's a really powerful concept. According to this, any intrusion at all, a plane, a pipe, a crane, would be a clear trespass. But, and you can probably guess where this is going, then the airplane was invented. And suddenly, the idea of owning the heavens got, a little impractical. And that brings us to today, the modern reality, where the law had to evolve. It had to figure out a new balance between the rights of landowners like Chet and, the needs of a society that kind of relies on things like air travel and public utilities. So check this out. This really shows the shift. On the left, you've got that grand, infinite ideal from the old days. But on the right, you see where we are now, in our much more practical modern world. The key change is that the law got rid of the idea of infinity and replaced it with a whole new standard: ordinary use and enjoyment. Okay, so this is it. This is the big question, right? That phrase is the key that unlocks this entire puzzle. What does it actually mean, and how in the world do we apply this flexible, modern idea to the very real problems Chet is facing on his farm? All right, this is where the rubber meets the road, or maybe where the theory meets the dirt, the pipes, and the cranes. We're going to take this modern rule and apply it to each one of Chet's three big problems and see what happens. So this table lays it all out pretty clearly. When it comes to the planes flying overhead and the pipes underground, the answer is likely no. Chet can't stop them. But the construction crane? For that, the answer is yes. Now, that might seem a little inconsistent. So, why the different results? Well, the reason comes down to one simple thing. Is the intrusion protected by a specific law, a statute, that exists for the public good? Air travel is vital, so there are civil aviation laws that permit planes to fly over property. Public utilities are essential, so there are laws that create easements for pipes and cables. But a private construction crane swinging over your land, well, that doesn't really serve a broader public purpose. It's just a temporary physical invasion that doesn't have any special legal protection, and that makes it a simple trespass. Okay, so let's zoom out from Chet's farm for a second. What does this all mean for you and your property? What's the single most important thing we can take away from all this? And here it is. This is really the heart of the matter. Owning a piece of land in the 21st century isn't about having this infinite, untouchable kingdom. It's about a constant, delicate balance between your right to enjoy your property and the collective needs of a modern, functioning society. And this quote from our legal source just says it all perfectly. Your effective rights, they aren't limitless. They're grounded in the practical, real-world ways you actually use your land every single day. It's not about owning the heavens. It's about being able to use and enjoy your home. And, this leaves us with one last really fascinating thought. That definition of ordinary use isn't set in stone. As our skies fill up with delivery drones, new satellite networks orbit above us, and high-speed tunnels are dug deep beneath our feet, our whole idea of what we control is going to be challenged all over again. The debate over who owns the sky above and the earth below, trust me, it is far from over. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.